Hello everyone, Catweazle here, welcome to the channel and welcome to our new playthrough. Yes, it's good old Arkham horror again, where we're going to be playing the end of everything, which is another Kung Fro scenario, and this is the final one of his introductory scenarios, and as such it's a bit special. You will notice that we have got a lot of boards out. Yes, it took me quite a while to organise this, but we have the main Arkham board, we have Innsmouth, Dunwich in the middle, and down here we have Kingsport. Yes, we are playing with everything, the whole kit and caboodle, and we are ready to go. Alright, as far as setup goes, I've done quite a bit of it, and I had to do it because it took me about 3 hours. But that was mainly sort of organising how I could get everything onto the table, and it does take a long time to set up Arkham Horror. There's no getting away from it. I mean, look at the gate stat, man. So normally I keep them all separate for each expansion, and so exactly the same with the Mythos deck. And what you have to do is obviously put them all together and shuffle them all in. So that took me a while. And obviously putting all the clues out and all the other stuff. But there was also quite a few other things. We've got, because we've put every single expansion in, there are some things that get used and some things that don't. For example, there are some King in Yellow things like the Act cards. They're in play. The King in Yellow is being performed in Arkham, but it's the permanent one, it's not the touring one. So we do have the Act cards as well. Similarly, we have the Curse of the Dark Pharaoh. We've got the Ancient Whispers, that's out, but other things aren't, because those depend on which particular ancient one that you've got. We've got Azathoth, so there's not a lot that gets added in for Azathoth. But on certain other ancient ones, obviously, you've got to add things in. But that's not the case. We've got Azathoth. Similarly, we don't have Herald things. We've just been talking about the King in Yellow and the Act cards. We don't have the Blight cards because we don't have the King in Yellow Herald, for example. So that's not in. But what's in is in. As normal, we'll be playing with the Madness and the Injury cards. We've got quite a lot of the small cards. For example, we do have the, Black Goat. We've got the cards for the Black Goat, the membership, and obviously the things that are related to them. Fortunately, because we're playing Azathoth, we don't have to bother with the epic battle cards or anything like that, so that's pretty good. The other thing that makes it quite a beast to set up is obviously we are going to use 8 investigators. We're going to go for it. Let's go for it with 8 investigators and have ourselves a good laugh. So we'll go through those investigators in a bit. I picked out of the 9 investigators that I haven't used yet. Poor old Mark Harrigan was the guy to miss out, but if somebody snuffs it, Mark will get a go and he will come in. So if anybody goes nuts or gets killed or devoured or whatever, then Mark Harrigan will come in. Okay, so let's go through a few bits just to make sure we know where we're up to. So here's the card for 8 players. That means, because we're using all the expansion game boards, our open gate limit is 7. The outskirts limit, we're using all the expansion game boards, so that is 2. We're allowed 2 monsters in the outskirts. Our monster limit is only 9, however, because we're using all of the expansion game boards, and we will draw 2 monsters per gate. That is very important. We will be drawing 2 monsters per gate, but we did that last time when we played with 6 investigators. Okay, what else is there to go through? Well, oh yes, as normal, because we're using the expansion boards, that means we do have the Innsmouth Deep 1 track, Deep 1 Rising track. You can see that the tokens are up there. Because we're also using Innsmouth, that means we've got the Innsmouth Luck cards, they're up there as well. Because we're using Dunwich, we have the Dunwich Horror track. So I've got the Dunwich Horror itself, it's off to one side, and the Dunwich Horror tokens, they're there. And obviously we're using Kingsport, so we have the rifts. So the rifts are here, and the rift tokens are just off to one side. So yes, it's very busy, isn't it? Okay, so we've gone through that. What other things are there? Oh yeah, for example, there are things here like the patrol markers and stuff like that. We'll see those as we go through the game. Rather than go through everything, we'd be here all day. Hopefully I won't forget anything. But I'm counting on you guys to keep me on the straight and narrow. I know there's quite a few of you that will be able to help me out in that respect, and please do, because I've got a lot to remember. Not only am I running 8 investigators, I'm running a camera, I'm also running real life. There is a hell of a lot to remember when you take on something of this magnitude, because of all the little expansion bits that that actually kick in. So obviously things like the Dark Pharaoh and the various tracks that we've got going on, the Act cards, the Innsmouth luck cards, all sorts of stuff that I'm going to have to sort of keep an eye on. So if you can help me, please do. Let's have a look at the Act card. We've got the Overture in play. We're using the Miskatonic version. So Overture, this card starts next to the Act deck. The Act deck's over there. Immediately after an Environment Mystic Mythos card is drawn during the Mythos phase, the first player must put the Act 1 card in play, setting it on top of this card. This card remains in play until another Act card is in play on top of this one. So there we go. As soon as we get that Environment Mystic Mythos card, then we are into Act 1. So that's going to be fun, isn't it? Right, so we've gone through that. What other things have we got to go through? Oh yes, one thing. There is an option with this introductory scenario to use the Dance of the Damned rumour card and actually start the game with it, but I don't have it. It's a promotional card. I suppose I could have printed it off, but I didn't. So I've got enough to think about. So we're not playing with the Dance of the Damned card, and it is optional anyway. But unfortunately, as I say, I do not have that promotional card. I think it was done for an Arkham Knights or something like yonks ago. What else? Well, before we go through the investigators, oh yes, the investigators, you'll notice that I've pulled all the stuff out for them. We are using Kung Fu starting possessions, and that is another reason why it took me so long to set up the game. Once you're using 8 investigators, you've really got to keep a handle on, you know, what an investigator can have and what an investigator can't have, as well as with the relationships. You've got to like sort of cross-reference what everybody can have and stuff. I'd have been here ages doing that, and in fact I was here ages last night doing that. There was no reason for you to sit there and get bored to death while I was doing it, so I've done all that. I will point out, we will go through everything that has been pulled for each character, but I will point out that I didn't pull a single Elder Sign, just in case some of you were sat there thinking, oh, I bet he's got about 5 or 6, I bet he's got all 5 Elder Signs out. No, I didn't even pull one because I'm rubbish. So hopefully we'll pull one during the actual game, but that again will be very difficult, because along with these huge like gate decks and mythos decks, we have got virtually everything in the unique common item, the skills, there's loads. There is absolutely loads of cards. I think there's only 3 cards I had to, 2 or 3 cards I had to take out. 1 spell, I think, calling the Ancient One, and 1 unique item, which I think was the Massa de Requiem Shugei. Everything else goes in. Oh, we do get allowed, we do get allowed an extra ally. Well, not really, he's put off to one side. So the Zoog, young Zoog, he's put off to one side. He will come out if we get the encounter with him. There is an encounter that mentions him. There's not much chance, I mean, blimey, look at, look at all the cards. But if he does get mentioned, then we will bring him out. But he's sort of off to one side. So we've put him off to one side. Talking of the allies, I may as well go through those now. So the allies that ended up picking out were Erica Carlisle. So she gives you +2 spells. well, she gives you +2 spells. Gain a retainer card when Erica Carlisle joins you. She's a Dark Pharaoh ally. We've got William Bain, Kingsport, +1 speed, +1 luck. Remove 1 Doom token from the Doom trap when William Bain joins you. Very nice. Earl Sawyer, +1 fight, +1 sneak, any phase, exhaust instead of losing 1 stamina. Discard Earl Sawyer if the Ancient One awakens. He's a Dunwich. Got another Dunwich, Corinna Jones, +1 focus, draw 1 skill when Corinna Jones joins you. Yet another Dunwich, Zebulon Waitley, +1 will, +1 law, any phase, exhaust to refresh 1 of your spells. Ah, good old Eric. +2 speed, you take no sanity loss from the Nightmarish ability. So William Brinton, let's have an arm wrestle. +1 maximum stamina, discard to immediately restore your stamina to its maximum. Duke, +1 maximum sanity, discard immediately to restore your sanity to its maximum. Good old Duke. We've got Tom Mountain Murphy, +2 fight, you take no stamina loss from the overwhelming ability. And we're back to Erica. So that is everybody. You'll notice there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There is only 9. That's because we have an investigator who got an ally as part of setup. As I say, young Zoog is sort of a special case. He's set off to one side. Right. So we've gone through the allies. Let's get on to Azathoth next, before we get on to the investigator. So this is Azathoth. So, got there. He's strange as Azathoth because basically you've got to stop him waking up or you just lose the game. It's as simple as that. So, he's got 14 on his Doom track. Worshippers. Since Azathoth promises nothing except destruction, only the insane worship him. However, their fanaticism gives him strength. Maniacs have their toughness increased by 1. So there you go. Azathoth, absolute destruction. If Azathoth awakens, the game is over and the investigators lose. Well, you can't say it plainer than that, can you? So there's no attack information. We've got to stop him waking up or the world gets devoured. Easy. So, yes, he's a bit of a beast. Right, so we've done him. We'll keep this stuff here because obviously we're going to have to pull a Mythos card and we're going to have to set up a gate and everything. So we'll put that there. And let's get on with our investigators. And here we are with our first investigator. Let's have a look at him. It is Tony Morgan, the bounty hunter. He has got 3 sanity, which is going to be a problem. But he does have 7 stamina, which is good. He starts at St Mary's Hospital. He has some fixed possessions. He actually has $7 because of the starting possession, so he gets an extra $1. He's got 3 clue tokens. He's got his common item of handcuffs, and his random possessions are 1 common item, 1 unique item, 1 skill. We'll go through those in a minute. He's got a focus of 2. His special abilities are clean takedown, any phase. Tony's monster trophies are worth 1 extra toughness each when spent. Blood money, upkeep, once per turn, while in a street area, Tony may spend 1 monster trophy to gain money equal to that monster's toughness. Cool. So, where have we set his sliders to? We've put his speed right up. I think right at the beginning of the game, I've done this for every investigator, we need to get them moving around pretty much. So, let's stick their speed up and let's try and move them around because we need to get people to Innsmouth, we need to get people to Dunwich, and we need to get people down to Kingsport. His fight and will is 3 and 3, and his law and luck has been set to 2 and 4. Let's have a read of his story so far. Tony didn't know what it was that he'd killed, but it had nearly taken his arm off at the shoulder, and he still couldn't quite control his trembling at the touch of water. The thing had had the form of a man, more or less, but it had been covered in loathsome scales and slime, like some horrid creature of the deep. Miles from the sea, it had made for the river when it scented him on his trail. The abomination stank of salt water, rotten fish, and the blood of farm animals that it had mutilated to sate its unwholesome hunger. He should have let it go when it dove into the river, but he'd never let a bounty escape before, and he hadn't been about to start then. Drawing his knife, he'd gone in after it, and everything had become a blur of blood, shrieking horror, and muddy water. 3 days later, he'd awakened in the hospital, muttering to himself and shaking with a mixture of fear and anger over his escaped quarry. After 2 weeks, the doctors had finally declared him fit enough to leave and get back to his hunt. But this time, his prey isn't human, whatever it is. So, whoa, Tony. Yes, he is on the trail of some loathsome horror. Right, so, personal relationship. He has a personal relationship with Leo Anderson. So, he shares courageous inspirations. Either you or Leo may exhaust this card before making a horror check to gain +1 to the check. So, pretty good. Personal story. Let's read this as well. This is going to be a laugh with absolutely tiny handwriting. There it's got the tiny text. So I'll just show you that there. And if you want to have a read, have a read. I'm going to read it out now, but I'm going to have to bring it closer to my eyes. I cannot read it through the viewfinder. The man behind the desk was cloaked in shadow. Only the glow of his cigar betrayed any hint as to his identity or his mood. His voice was cultured. He was an educated man, maybe foreign. I will understand if you think I am a madman, Mr. Morgan, or if you want nothing to do with this business. But I think you are the man for the job. So that is Tony. And we'll see. Oh, we'll flip it over to see what his win and lose is. Tony Morgan, mysterious client. Pass. If Tony has 4 monster trophies, discard those trophies and place payoff in play. Fail. If Tony has 5 or more clue tokens, place deals off in play. So we've got 3 clue tokens already. We are going to have to spend those pretty quick. So if we get any tests or we're fighting any monsters, let's not be scared to use those clue tokens. His skill is Fisticuffs. Any phase. After making any combat check, spend 2 clue tokens to add 1 success to the result. You may do this as often as you like, and we may well do that, because that gets rid of clue tokens, which we can't have, at least until we get several monster trophies and we can achieve his personal story. His common items, he gets 2. The handcuffs, he got those straight away anyway, so any phase. Exhaust before making a combat check against a cultist, chocho, ghoul or maniac to automatically pass that check and gain 1 sanity. Coolness. Pretty situational though, I must say. The other thing you found was a bad one because it's research materials. It's not bad in itself. Discard research materials instead of spending 1 clue token. Oh, actually, I thought he got a clue token, so this isn't too bad. He can actually use this. But, yes, he'll spend his clues first because we don't want to get up to 5 clues. So he's got research materials. So that's like a clue token without being a clue token, so that is quite good. He's got 1 unique item, and that is the gruesome talisman. +2 to horror checks. And he's got a big fat Cthulhu sat on his player tray because he is the first player. So that is Tony Morgan. Let's see who our second player is. And here's our second investigator, who is George Barnaby, the lawyer. And here he is. So there's George. So he's got 7 sanity and 3 stamina. Not bad, apart from his stamina's rubbish. His home is the library. Fixed possessions, he's got $7. There's no change there. And he has got a retainer as well, so that's good. So he'll basically go up to $9 as soon as we start the game. Random possessions, 1 common item, 1 unique item, 1 spell, 1 skill. We'll see those in a bit. His focus is 2. His special abilities, knowledge is power, Any phase. When spending a clue token to add to a skill check, George may add +1 to the result of one of his rolled dice instead of rolling an extra die. Bailout. Any phase. George may spend $2 to prevent any investigator from being arrested, including himself. Excellent. So if we send somebody up to Innsmouth, that could be very, very useful. What have we say sliders at? So speed has gone to 3 and 2 with sneak. Fight and will is 2 and 2, and law and luck is 3 and 3. So there we go. Let's just flip him over and read his story so far. George Barnaby always had the need for control of his life and his surroundings. That's why, after spending a month in jail at the age of 19 for a crime he did not commit, George became a lawyer. Possessing a keen mind and a charismatic personality, he found that he excelled in his chosen field and soon rose to a position of power and wealth. George enjoyed the challenge of practicing law, and the years rolled past in a pleasant blur until he was ready to retire. He figured that he and his wife Maria would buy a boat and sail around the world. That was before the night when his home was invaded, his wife was murdered, and his house was burned to the ground by 2 men wearing strange amulets. Now he has tracked these men to the city of Arkham. They will pay for making him feel helpless and for taking away his dear sweet Maria. After all, if there's one thing lawyers are known for, it's collecting debts that are owed to them. Woohoo! Good old George. So put him down there. So he's got a relationship with Tony Morgan, the bounty hunter, and that is they are fellow travellers. Either you or your partner may exhaust this card to gain 1 extra movement point. Brilliant. Movement points are always useful. Let's have a look at his personal story. Let's see if I can read this through. Well, Maria, I've tracked them down. So it looks like this is it. I'll either see you soon or maybe not at all. Whether I see you or not, take care, my love. George checked his weapons one last time, then moved forward, eyes fixed firmly on his targets. Right, so George Barnaby, Maria, pass. If George claims a cultist as a monster trophy, place my sweet Maria in play. If George is knocked unconscious or driven insane, place I'm sorry Maria in play. So there we go. That's his personal story. His skill is sneak. So he gets +1 sneak. When you spend a clue token to add to any sneak check, add 1 extra bonus die. So that's good. He'll be able to sneak about. Could be useful. He has, as mentioned, a retainer, so he'll get $2 at the start of the game, go up to 9, upkeep, gain $2, then roll a die, discard this card on a 1. You won't have to do that the first turn, but thereafter he shall. His other common item is a hand camera. Any phase. Discard hand camera after you gain a clue token to gain an additional clue token. When you do so, one other investigator of your choice also gains a clue token. Oh, right. So that's a lurker card. Very good. Could be very useful. He has 1 unique item, and he pulled the Crystal of the Elder Things. Any phase. Place 1 sanity token from the bank on the Crystal of the Elder Things to avoid paying the entire sanity cost of a spell you are casting. If there are 3 sanity tokens on it, discard Crystal of the Elder Things. So not too bad. Not too amazing, but not too bad. And he does have a spell. And his spell is Storm of Spirits. Casting modifier -1, but the sanity cost is 0. Magical spell. Any phase. Cast and exhaust to gain +3 to combat checks and to use law instead of fight on your combat checks until the end of this combat. And this is a King in Yellow spell. 2-handed, but pretty good. His law is 4, which is definitely more than his fight, which is 3. So that is George Barnaby. Let's see who is our third investigator. And our third investigator is Bob Jenkins. Yes, we've just played him in Eldritch and he's back in Arkham. So let's take a look at Bob. Bob Jenkins, the salesman. He's got 4 sanity and 6 stamina, so he's a bit more even. And he starts at the general store. Fixed possessions, he has $9, so he's rich, rich. Random possessions, he's got 2 common items, 2 unique items and 1 skill. He's got a focus of 1. His special ability is he is a shrewd dealer. Any phase, whenever Bob draws 1 or more cards from the common item deck, he draws 1 extra card, then discards 1 of them. Awesome. As for his skills, his speed and sneak is at 5 and 0, his fight and will is at 4 and 3, and his law and luck is at 2 and 2. His story so far. As a travelling salesman, Bob is always on the go, but yesterday he saw something that made him decide to stay in Arkham and miss his train. While he was in the general store selling his wares, a robed man came in and bought several items, paying with old gold coins. Astounded, Bob turned to the shopkeeper for an explanation, but the man just ignored his question, simply saying, "That happens sometimes." Now Bob isn't leaving till he figures out where those gold coins came from. If he plays his cards right, maybe this will be the big score. Maybe he'll finally be able to retire and buy that boat he's had his eye on and spend the rest of his days fishing in a tropical paradise. Then again, maybe Bob will finally come to see that all that glitters is not gold. Yes, greedy Bob. You're going to find out it's pretty grim in Arkham. So that's Bob. We'll put him back there. Now, what is his relationship with George? Well, they are friendly rivals. Between you and your partner, the investigator with fewer monster trophies gains a +1 on combat checks, and the investigator with fewer gate trophies gains +1 on fight or law checks to close gates. There is no effect in the case of ties. So, friendly rivals with George. And let's have a look at his personal story. Get it nice and close so I can read it. Bob Jenkins. It cost Bob Jenkins $2 just to get one of those old coins, but now he had one. He could feel it, heavy and old in his hand. It was a strange sort of gold, maybe an alloy, and the symbols pressed into its surface didn't resemble any language or art that Bob was familiar with. Well, so it was a funny old coin. That just meant there was an even bigger market for it. All of Bob's senses told him that he was onto something big. Real big. So let's flip it over. So, old money. Pass. If Bob has 5 or more clue tokens, place jackpot in play. Fail. If Bob has 3 or more monster trophies, place greed in play. So that's Bob. Woohoo! His skill? Well, it's a Dunwich horror skill by the look of it. Spot hidden. When you make any luck check, add +1 to each die you roll for the purposes of checking for successes, i.e. a roll of 3 becomes a 4, etc. Very good. Just the sort of thing for a salesman. And he's got 2 common items. The first one he's got is the Director's Diary, which is a tome. Any phase. Discard this card when the terror level is increased to reduce the amount by which it is being increased by 1. Woohoo! Another King in Yellow card. Hopefully that'll be very useful. And he's got Dynamite, which is unfortunately a discard. Physical weapon, +8 to combat checks, but then you have to throw it away. Two-handed. He's got 2 unique items. The first one is another tome. It's our old favourite, Cult de Ghouls, How to Cook Human Beings. It's a tome. Movement. Exhaust and spend 2 movement points to make a law -2 check. If you pass, draw 1 spell and gain 1 clue token, but lose 2 sanity and discard Cult de Ghoul. If you fail, nothing happens. So that's Cult de Ghoul. And his other unique item is Petrifying Solution. This is another discard, which is disappointing. It's a physical weapon, +8 to combat checks, discard after use. This weapon ignores physical resistance and endless special abilities. One-handed, it's a King in Yellow card again. You know, pretty good, but he's got 2 weapons there, and he just chucks them away after he uses them. Fortunately, he is in the general store, and he does have $9, so I think he'll be doing a bit of shopping. Right, that's it for Bob Jenkins. Let's find out who our 4th investigator is. And here we are with our 4th investigator, Joe Diamond. So let's have a look at Joe. Joe Diamond, the private eye. 4 sanity, 6 stamina. His home is the police station. His fixed possessions are... well, they're not going to be $8 because we've took $3 off him. You'll see why. He's got $5. He's only got 2 clue tokens. Again, he's sort of had to pay for something else with his starting possessions. 1 common item, which is a 45 automatic. He's still got that. And random possessions, he gets 2 common items and 1 skill. He's got focus of 3, which is really good. And his special ability is any phase, Joe rolls 1 extra bonus die when he spends a clue token to add to a roll. Brilliant. His skills, speed and sneak, we've set to 6 and 1. We want him moving around. Fight and will, we've set to 2 and 3. He does have his automatic. And his law and luck, I've just pushed his luck up. So let him be lucky. I'm not planning on him using any spells or anything. So his law is at 0 and his luck is at 3. Let's have a read of his story so far. The job sounded simple enough. Pick up a statue at the Providence Museum and deliver it to a guy at the Silver Twilight Lodge. The money was good and the dame who gave him the job seemed sincere. Sadly, things never seem to work out that easily for Joe. Now the statue is missing, 2 people are dead, and strange cultists are on his tail, and all the clues lead to Arkham. Lady Luck can be funny that way. He's already tried talking to the sheriff, but that flatfoot proves to be worse than useless. Looks like it's once again going to be up to Joe Diamond to solve the case. Yes. Have a go, Joe. Right, so there's Joe Diamond. Let's see what his relationship is with Bob Jenkins. I'll vouch for my friend. After the initial setup, any time you or your partner gains a bank loan, retainer, Silver Twilight Lodge membership, Sheldon Gang membership, or Rail Pass, or one of 1,000 cult membership, the other may choose to take a card of the same type if he does not already have one. Excellent. So I'll vouch for my friend. Joe Diamond's personal story. It's not the statue itself, Mr. Diamond. It's what's inside that's important. Carl Sanford sat behind his dark oak desk, looking coolly at Joe. I'll get it back, spat Joe, and those goons that took it, I'll add them on as a bonus. That would be just fine with us. Sanford narrowed his eyes. We here at the lodge are anxious to meet these thieves. Buddy Carl Sanford. Joe Diamond, hard-boiled, pass. If Joe is at the Silver Twilight Lodge during the upkeep phase, he may spend 5 toughness worth of monster trophies and 1 unique item to place finish the job in play. Whoa, that's a bit steep. Fail. If Joe discards a unique item, place no dice in play. Okay, so that's Joe and his personal story. Right, his skill. Well, he did quite well here. He picked credit rating. So any phase, exhaust instead of spending $2. Can anybody say bank loan? So we've got a credit rating. Now, one of the special cards he got, this is why he lost some money and he lost a clue, is Private Investigator, and he's got this off the Curse of the Dark Pharaoh expansion. When you receive this card, gain 3 clue tokens. Well, he doesn't. He's only got 2. Upkeep, you may choose 1 other investigator in Arkham who is delayed to no longer be delayed. Discard this card if you are arrested. So it's important he doesn't get arrested, but if you remember, George Barnaby can pay $2 to stop people getting arrested, so that's pretty good. So hopefully we'll be able to stop people getting delayed. But we don't get the 3 clue tokens. In fact, we lose one of his starting clue tokens as well, and we lose $3 to essentially get this card. But it's a thematic card, you can see it's a thematic starting possession. Hence, Joe's got it. Right, what other stuff has he got? He has 3 common items. So he's got whiskey. Any phase, discard whiskey to reduce any sanity loss by 1. So that's okay. Very thematic for a private eye. And obviously he's got his 45 automatic as well. Physical weapon, +4 combat check, so that's cool. Bit of a groin puncher. And he's also got fine clothing. So +1 to all skill checks during Arkham encounters. Discard fine clothing when you lose any amount of stamina. So if he gets beat up or anything, obviously they get ripped and he can't use them anymore. But fine clothing, hopefully we will be able to stop him getting beat up. So those are all pretty good. Right, so that is it for Joe, who is our 5th investigator. And here we are with our 5th investigator, who is Jacqueline Fine, the psychic. So let's have a look at her. There she is, the lovely Jackie, the psychic. 7 sanity and 3 stamina. Unfortunately, we're getting quite a few investigators that have a low stat. We've got a lot of investigators with a stat of 3, which is going to be a problem, I think. Her home is the Curiosity Shop. Her fixed possessions, she's got $7. 2 clue tokens and a unique item, which is enchanted jewellery. Random possessions are 1 common item, 2 spells and 1 skill. She's got focus of 2. Her special ability is precognition. Mythos. Once per turn, when a mythos card other than the story continues is drawn, Jacqueline may spend 2 clue tokens to discard that mythos card without effect and draw another one instead. The second mythos card then takes effect. This could be so strong for us, so got to remember that. Right, what have we set her skills to? Speed and sneak we've set to 4 and 0. Fight and will we've set to 2 and 3. And law and luck we've set to 4 and 2. Let's read her story so far. Jacqueline witnesses the future every night. Her dreams are filled with things that have not yet come to pass, usually terrible visions of blood and fire. This time is no different. She has dreamed of a city called Arkham, a quiet town that is to be destroyed by a terrible creature before the world is plunged into indescribable chaos for 1,000 years. Her dreams have never been wrong before. Unable to ignore this latest vision, Jacqueline did some research and found the location of the doomed city. Now she has come to the place that haunts her, to try and stop the destruction she knows that will come. Drawn to an image from her darkest dreams, she takes a deep breath as she enters the Curiosity Shop, a place she knows will soon become a nightmare made flesh. There you go, Jackie. Fantastic stuff. What's her relationship to Joe Diamond? Well, they are business associates. After the initial setup, any time either you or your partner gains $1 or more from any game effect other than this card, the other gains $1. Woohoo! Money, money, money. Her personal story. Let's get this right up to the camera so I can read it. Jacqueline was having visions again. One in particular kept haunting her. One face, a face in a crowd. If she could find that one face, she could find out what it means. Was it the key to the whole thing, or merely another red herring? Ooh, let's find out. So, the face. Pass. If Jacqueline has 2 or more allies, place Vision of Hope in play. If the terror level reaches 3, place Vision of Despair in play. Oh, you know, I have to hurry up and get 2 allies, aren't we? That's a tough one. As was the skill. The skill was really tough on us. Mythos Law, -1 maximum sanity. So instead of 7 sanity, she's actually got 6. Because these dreams. They've given her the mythos lore, and she's slightly unstable. Any phase, exhaust instead of spending a clue token. So it's pretty good. And I suppose it's okay in the fact that she's got 7 sanity. It'd have been, if it was one of our characters who had 3 sanity, we'd be in a real pickle now. But, you know, if anybody's going to get this card, then Jacqueline with 7 sanity is probably the best. Yeah, so that's not too bad. But all the same, I probably preferred another skill. And she also gets a Curse of the Dark Pharaoh card, just like Joe. She gets the Psychic card, and again, this is why she's, you know, not quite doing so well. It said $7, but she only gets 4. Yeah, so she pays $3 essentially for this card with starting possessions. So let's have a read. When you receive this card, gain 1 sanity. Well, we're at full sanity anyway, so we don't even get that. Upkeep. You may allow one investigator to give one of his skill cards to another investigator. Discard this card if you are lost in time and space. Oh, right. So we might do that. That might come in useful at some point. So this is another thing that we'll have to keep in mind. So she's psychic. Okay, so she's got 1 random common item, and she picked the lucky rabbit's foot, which isn't it's not too bad actually. Any phase, exhaust to gain +1 to a luck check. Arkham encounters. After you draw an encounter card, exhaust and discard rabbit's foot to draw a different encounter card. We'll probably keep it for the +1 to a luck check, but you know, not a bad card. Not a bad card, Lucky Rabbit's Foot. And, oh, her enchanted jewellery. This is her unique item. Any phase, put 1 stamina token from the bank on enchanted jewellery to avoid losing 1 stamina. If there are 3 stamina tokens on it, discard enchanted jewellery. Well, she's got low stamina, so you can see why she's given this card by the game. Put that back. And she had to draw 2 spells. And she drew Shrivelling, which is good, with a nice offensive spell. Casting modifier -1, sanity cost of 1, magical spell. Any phase, cast and exhaust to gain +6 to combat checks until the end of this combat. Only a single hand, which is good. And the other spell that she picked is Call Down the Storm. Casting modifier +1, sanity cost 1, magical spell, movement. Cast and exhaust while in Arkham to add +2 to any combat check that takes place in your neighbourhood until the end of the phase. Again, in Arkham, that is any of the expansion boards as well. Just means it doesn't work in the other world. So, that is Jacqueline Fine, the Psychic, who is our 6th investigator. And here we are with our 6th investigator, who is Wilson Richards, the Handyman. So there he is, packing a shotgun, looking mean in the rain. Wilson Richards, the Handyman. 5 sanity, 5 stamina. At last, somebody who's like well balanced. His home is a train station. Fixed possessions, $4. He actually gets 1 extra, so he's on $5. 3 common items, a motorcycle, excellent. A shotgun, excellent. And whiskey, okay. Random possessions, he's got 2 unique items and 1 skill. He's got a focus of 4, which is great. So, Jack of all trades, upkeep. When adjusting skills, Wilson may set each of his sliders to any stop he wishes, regardless of his focus. So, that, in fact, I think his focus is a bit... That should be infinite, really. So he can just set his sliders where he wants. Odd jobs. Arkham encounter. Wilson may gain $1 instead of having an encounter at any location, but not another world or a street area. Cool. His skills are set to speed and sneak is 4 and 2, fight and will is 2 and 2, and law and luck is 2 and 3. Let's read his story so far. You see a lot of strange things on the road, and Wilson has been travelling for many years now. Wandering from town to town, he's earned his keep by taking various odd jobs. But he's never seen anything like the events occurring in Arkham. Something's just not right here. And when you're a loner and a drifter by trade, you develop a certain sixth sense about people and places. Right now, Wilson's sixth sense is telling him to get out of town, and fast. But for some reason, his curiosity is greater than his fear, and he has a weird feeling that the job he needs to do in Arkham may be a little bit bigger than mending a step or painting a fence. Dun, dun, dun. Good old Wilson. Now, how does he relate to Jacqueline? Well, they are socially connected, which seems very odd. After the initial setup, anytime either you or your partner gains an ally from any game effect other than this card, the other draws an ally at random from the ally deck. This is good, considering the personal story of Jacqueline, who needs allies. If he currently has no allies, he keeps it. If he does have one or more allies, he keeps it and then chooses one of his allies to reshuffle back into the ally deck. Cool, socially connected. His personal story. Let's have a read, get it close up so I can focus on it. It was all that kid's fault. Wilson was a sucker for kids. Reminded him of happier times, and an even bigger sucker for kids who offered him a drink of water on a hot day. The kid had it rough. Her papa was gone. Not walked out, just gone. Like too many people in Arkham. Her mama was looking sick and wasting away. She'd like to move away from this haunted town, but she was into O'Banion for more money than she cared to admit. Dang kids. Yeah, Israel, get. Let's have a read. Heck of a job. Pass. If Wilson discards $15 during the upkeep phase and doesn't have a bank loan, place Get Out of Town in play. Fail. If there are 6 or more Doom tokens on the Ancient One's Doom track, place Too Little Too Late in play. Oh, you're going to have to do a lot of odd jobs, Wilson. So, to get $15, he hasn't had a pickup. He is on 5, so that's not too bad. But, yes, we're going to have to get some money from somewhere. Somebody's going to have to give him some cash, I think. His skill is Listen. So, +1 luck. Great. Any phase, once per luck check, you may re-roll all dice showing a result of 1. Awesome. Right, let's go through his common items. First of all, his shotgun. Physical weapon, +4 to combat checks. Any phase, when using a shotgun in combat, all 6s rolled count as 2 successes. Brilliant. Two-handed weapon. Excellent. Whiskey we've seen before. Any phase, discard whiskey to reduce sanity loss by 1. That'll come in useful at some point, no doubt. And brilliant, a motorcycle. So just the sort of guy to be moving around the board. Movement, exhaust to get 2 extra movement points. Brilliant. His 2 unique items are Eltdown Shards, which is a tome. Movement, exhaust and spend 2 movement points to make a law -2 check. If you pass, remove 1 Doom token from the Doom track. Discard Eltdown Shards and lose 2 sanity. If you fail, nothing happens. We'll keep this in our back pocket. We may need it at some point. And we picked the Ancient Spear as well, which is a physical weapon, so it's not magical, unfortunately, but there is something on here that can turn it magical. +4 to combat checks. Any phase, exhaust to change Ancient Spear to a magical weapon until the end of this combat. End of the combat. So that's cool. So it is sort of half magical, so hopefully it will come in. So he's got a shotgun and an Ancient Spear. Excellent. Right, so that is Wilson Richards. I think that is it for him. Let's find out who our 7th investigator is. And here's our 7th investigator, who is Jim Calder, the musician. 6 sanity, 4 stamina. His home is Velma's Diner. His fixed possessions are $3, 3 clue tokens, 1 unique item, which is the Golden Trumpet. He's got random possessions, which are 2 spells, 1 common item and 1 skill. His focus is 2. His special abilities are Dead Man Stomp. Any phase, Jim may spend 1 clue token to automatically pass a combat check against an undead monster. Strange Luck. Any phase, Other worlds are considered to have a green encounter symbol for you in addition to their normal encounter symbols. So, looks like Jim is our gate closer, or at least one of them. His skills, speed and sneak, we've set to 4 and 0. Fight and will, we've set to 3 and 2. And law and luck, we've set to 4 and 2. Let's read his story so far. Daddy used to say, jazz is a lot like liquor. It makes everything go down a little smoother. Daddy used to say a lot of stupid things. Jazz has been nothing but trouble for Jim since the day he picked up his daddy's trumpet. There was something weird and otherworldly about the writing on the inside of the bell, but the tones from it were smooth and dark, like good coffee. There was something about it that made you want to tap your feet and snap your fingers. That trumpet landed Jim a lot of gigs until the time it made Widow Jenkins get up and dance the day he played at her funeral. After that, it was kind of hard to find work, especially playing funerals. Since then, Jim has learned a lot about jazz and the things the graveyard ghouls talk about on cold autumn nights. Lately they've been talking about the end, as in the end of everything that is and could be, the final rhapsody. The fact is, Jim isn't too keen on that idea. He's got more songs he wants to play before then. So sitting in a booth in Velma's, Jim takes one last swallow of hot coffee before heading out to play what could be his last encore. That coffee is smooth and dark going down, just like the night. Woo! Good old Jim. Right, so there's Jim. What's his relationship to Wilson? Well, they are both hunters. When you and your partner are in the same neighbourhood, either of you may exhaust this card before making a combat check against a monster to reduce its toughness by 1 to a minimum of 1 during this combat check. Hunters, baby. Jim's personal story. Jim Culver. Maybe Jim had spent a little too much time in this graveyard talking to the departed and not enough time making music for normal living folks. But old Jim, he wasn't dead yet, and if these decaying things that shuffled around between the tombs thought they could make him dance to their tune, well, they were in for a rude awakening. Jim Culver was just getting warmed up. Woohoo! So, Dead Rising. Pass. If Jim has 3 or more monster trophies, including at least 1 undead monster trophy, place Sweet Harmony in play. Fail. If the terror level reaches 4, place Out of Tune in play. Oh, we've got to stop this terror level going up. Ooh. Okay, so his skill. Picked out Persuade, which is +1 will. Any phase. Once per will check, you may re-roll all dice, showing a result of 1. So, not a bad skill, not a bad skill. His common item we picked out was a crowbar. Physical weapon, +2 to combat checks. Movement. Discard crowbar to make a sneak -2 check. Draw a common item for each success you roll. If you fail, you are arrested. But we've got George Barnaby on the job, so let's keep that in mind. His golden trumpet that he got from his daddy. Any phase, put 1 sanity token from the bank on golden trumpet to avoid losing 1 sanity. If there are 3 sanity tokens on it, discard golden trumpet. So it's just like the equivalent of enchanted jewellery, isn't it, but for sanity. His spells, he has good old Flesh Ward. Casting modifier, -2, sanity cost 1, magical spell. Cast an exhaust to ignore all stamina loss being dealt to you from one source. Discard this card if the ancient one awakens. Well, won't have to do that, because that'll be the end of the world. Summon the beast within. Casting modifier, -2, sanity cost 0. Another magical spell. Upkeep. You may cast an exhaust to take an inner beast special card. Dun, dun, dun. If this card is exhausted at the start of your upkeep phase, you do not have to refresh it. So there you go. You can turn into a beast. So there we go. I think somebody did that in our... Was it Lola Hayes? I think Lola Hayes got an inner beast card when we played the King in Yellow. But I can't remember exactly, but I think she did. Anyway, that is enough for Jim Culver. Shall we find out who our final investigator is? Go on then. And our final investigator is Leo Anderson. Yes, the expedition leader. There's Leo. 5 sanity, 5 stamina, another well-rounded individual. We like that. His home is the River Docks. Fixed possession is $5 and 2 clue tokens. Random possessions, 1 ally, 2 common items and 1 skill. He's got a focus of 2. His leadership skill, any phase, once per turn, Leo may prevent 1 point of stamina or sanity loss for any investigator. This is really good, and we're really going to have to be on the ball with it, because we have got a lot of people who, when they start losing stamina or sanity, it really messes them around. So we'll have to be well aware of Leo's special ability. Okay, so his special, his skills, speed and sneak, we've set to 4 and 1. Fight and will, we've set to 2 and 3. And law and luck, we've set to 3 and 2. Spin him over and let's see his story so far. Anderson took 7 men with him into the Yucatan. 2 came back, more or less. Technically 3 men made it out of that jungle alive, but Mitch Brown's not exactly himself anymore. As a point of fact, he's a blithering madman now and has already been shipped off to the asylum. Leo couldn't read the tablets they found in those ruins. Only Dr. Vault could, of the 7 of them. But he's holding the good doctor's notes in his hand, the ones Vault took before he went mad, before he killed 2 of Anderson's men. Now, Anderson's fresh off the boat, and he's got word that Dr. Phillips, the man who organised the Yucatan expedition in the first place, is dead. Phillips is dead, and that leaves Anderson holding the scribblings of a murderous lunatic. Scribblings with today's date circled in blood. Bah! Leo Anderson. Awesome. Right, let's put him there. And what is his relationship to Jim Culver? They are survivors. Either you or your partner may exhaust this card before making an evade check to gain +1 to the check. Good, good. Personal story. Leo Anderson. Listen, I won't lie to you. This is going to make the Yucatan look like a cakewalk. Leo tugged his collar straight and leaned forward. But this ain't no lie either. I need you. Arkham needs you. Hell, the world needs you. We're not after riches, and we're not after a lost civilization this time. We're out to save the world, plain and simple. Are you with me? Leo. Awesome. So, Leo Anderson, the new mission. Pass. If Leo has 3 or more allies, place get to work in play. We have really got to keep that terror track down. Because Jacqueline needs 2 allies, he needs 3. Dear me. Well, it's 2 really, he's got 1 already, but oh dear me. Fail. If an investigator is devoured or the terror level reaches 4, place Leo's guilt in play. Oh, we're going to struggle here. We are going to struggle. His skill is grapple. When you make any fight check, add +1 to each die you roll for purposes of checking for successes, so a 3 becomes a 4. Brilliant. That's a nice skill. The ally he does have is I pulled Charles Dexter Ward. Who'd want him as an ally if you read the story? But anyway, he does give us +1 law and +1 speed, which is good. Increase your combat check bonuses from spells by +1. So that is good old Charlie on our team. Hopefully it is Charles and not his murderous uncle or ancestor or whoever the hell it was. Right. Common items. He has got an axe. Physical weapon, +2 to combat checks, and it's +3 if your other hand is empty. So that's not a bad weapon. And yes, we had to pull something really crap. He pulled food. So any phase, discard food to reduce any stamina loss by 1. Could have done with a Tommy gun or something, but we got food. Never mind. Okay, so that is it for Leo. And that is it for our 8 investigators. So there we are. 8 investigators against Azathoth. Dun, dun, dun. Well, we better get on with pulling the bad news. So I'll just get rid of Leo and we will sort out the Mythos card and what we're going to start with. Okay, here we are, ready for the Mythos pull. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see what the Laugh and Chuckle card has to say. And we get... Woo! A lurker one. Police helpless to displace vagrants. Environment urban. That's urban. Let me just check. Overture's missed it. We're alright. So, first check. Investigators who end their movement in the downtown streets may spend $5 or 2 clue tokens to draw the top 3 cards off the spell deck. Choose one spell to keep and discard the rest. Ooh, not too bad. Activities at the downtown streets. Clue appears at Hibbs Roadhouse. But let's do it in order. So Black Cave first. So I don't need the red stands because these are Arkham monsters. And we get a gate at Hib. Sorry, at the Black Cave. So there we go. Top gate is... Let's flip it up. See, these are lurker gates. We're using the lurker gates. Oh, it's a split one. So we've got the Great Hall of Celiano or the City of the Great Race. -2 modifier. That's a bit grim. But a Stargate or a Triangle Gate. We'll put that in the holder. That means we lose the Black Cave clue. It may get redirected. Let's check. The clue goes to Hibbs Roadhouse. Oh, that's pretty good. At least we've got a couple of investigators near there. And we've got to draw 2 monsters. Look at the amount of monsters we've got. So they barely fit in the bag. So I'll go right down to the bottom and pick one out. Right. Oh, got to pick 2 out. So we've got a Night Gaunt. We've got to pick a second one out because we've got 8 investigators. And our second one is, it's another flying monster, a Mygo. So that's not a bad start. We'll take that. So let's have a look at the Mygo. So it's -2 to sneak by. It's a circular monster. It's a flyer. When you pass a combat check against the Mygo, return it to the box and draw a unique item. Always good, and they're easy. They're easy, man. So -1 to the horror check, but you can lose 2 sanity. Toughness is 1, and it's +0 to the combat check, although you can lose a stamina. Put this on here. We've got a Mygo. We've got a Night Gaunt, which is also -2 to sneak past. It's a slash monster. When you fail a combat check against a Night Gaunt, you are drawn through the nearest open gate. If 2 or more gates are at the same distance from you, you choose which gate you are drawn through. Very nice. -1 on the horror check, you can lose a sanity, 2 toughness, and -2 on the combat. There is no stamina loss because you get drawn through the gate. So there we go, the Black Cave. And we have a couple of monsters there, both flyers, so they could end up hitting the sky, baby. Okay. Right, we have got crescent movement and plus movement. It's neither of those monsters, so none of those move. But we've got rifts, baby. We've got rifts down here. So let's have a look. What does it match? I think it's the bottom one, is it? No. No, 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 no. Top one. It's the top one it matches. So let's find where the rift is. The rift token is going. It is going to... These are always a laugh for me. Let's have a good old look at this. Is that Water Street? Let's just move that out of the way a second. Where are you? No, it's the 7th house on the left. So that now has a rift token on it. Let's get rid of that. This is an environment urban, so we'll have to keep that. And what else have we got to do? We didn't stop a gate from opening or anything, so nothing has to go on the Innsmouth track. And I think that is it. Nothing's gone through a vortex or anything, so the Dunwich track is fine. And as mentioned, it's an urban environment, so that doesn't affect the Act cards. Right, oh, I'll just set that up. Be back in a moment. And I'm back. So I'll put the environment urban card up here in the downtown streets where it applies, and I also put obviously the rift token in the proper place, which is up here, not on the 7th house on the left, so it's up here. Okay, let's just have a quick overview of where everybody is. We did go through it, but let's see it on the board. Tony Morgan is down here at St Mary's Hospital. George Barnaby is here in the library. Then we have, who's next? We have Bob Jenkins is up here in the general store. We have Joe Diamond, who's up at the police station. He's followed by Jacqueline Fine, who's over there at the curiosity shop. Who is followed by Wilson Richards, who is up there at the train station. Who is then followed by Jim Culver, who is at Velma's Diner. And finally, we have Leo Anderson, who is at the River Docks. What I will have to do for next turn is decide who is going to go where. We need people to go to Kingsport, to Dunwich and to Innsmouth. So some poor unfortunate is going to have to go to Innsmouth. I'll sort that out. And we'll keep a few people in Arkham, because obviously that's got the most locations. There's more chance of gates opening here and us getting more monsters here, so we'll have to keep the vast majority of people here. But we will have to get at least a single groin puncher to each one of these locations. We've got to keep the rifts down, so somebody's having to go there. We've got to stop the Dunwich Horror coming out in Dunwich, so we'll need to send somebody there. And obviously, like, Innsmouth is just a nightmare. Somebody needs to go there and stop the, obviously, the game ending. because if that Innsmouth, like, if the Deep Ones track hits, it's Azathoth and it's just game over, man. So we'll have to definitely send somebody up there as well. We need to be quick. If this lasts any length of time, I just cannot see us being anything other than completely overwhelmed. We need to shut gates quickly. We've got a nice friendly gate to start, so hopefully we can get somebody in there. Nobody has got 5 clue tokens, unfortunately. Nobody's got an elder sign. But, and unfortunately Jacqueline Fine, because she spent all that money for psychic and stuff, she hasn't got enough money for an elder sign, even though she's in the curiosity shop. So we'll have to sort, I mean, George has got a bit of money, and so has good old Bob. But, you know, I think we're just going to have to do some trading. Do some trading early on, get somebody in the curiosity shop with some money, and, like, have a quick route through. There are 2 clues at Hibbs Roadhouse. Jim Culver has 3 clues, so if he can pick those up, he will have 5. Then he can try and go down to the Black Cave. The Nightgaunt and the Mygo aren't too tough, so hopefully he will be able to blow them away and we can set off trying to close that gate. But yes, we're going to have some laughs. As far as the investigators go, we have got far too many investigators that have a stat of 3, whether it's stamina or sanity. That is going to be a problem. Hopefully we'll be able to pick up some items that will offset that. Perhaps a few of the personal stories will offset that if we manage to complete them. As I said earlier, there is a lot to remember. Please remember I'm also videoing as well, and there is only me. I don't have anybody else here to help me out. I only have you guys to help me out. So please, please bear that in mind before you write a rant in the comments about how I missed something. But saying that, if I do make a mistake, please let me know. If I've missed something in setup, again, let me know. It took me a hell of a long time to set this up. There is a chance that I have missed something. If I have, please just give me a shout and I will fix it before we start turn 1. Ooh, well, I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to this. And if we get beat, in say 2 or 3 turns, what I'll do is I'll just start again, because I fancy a real long game of this. So if things go really bad really early, then what we'll do is we'll just start again. I don't want to like tear it all down. We'll have another go if it all goes south. But hopefully, you know, if we can get at least 10, 11 turns in, then we'll call it we had a good go at it. Okay, right, that is it for the introduction and setup of Arkham Horror All In and the end of everything. Thank you for watching. Thanks for all the subscriptions, thanks for all the views, thanks for all the likes and the dislikes, and for all the help and support. As mentioned, if you've spotted any errors in setup, please let me know. I'll fix them for turn 1. And thank you to everybody who's been across the Board Game Links to have a look at the videos over there, and everyone on BGG who likes the video threads, comments on the video threads, or gives Geek Gold, or whatever you do. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody who comments here on YouTube as well. It's great. Thank you very much. I hope you're looking forward to this. I am. And I hope you will join me for turn 1. But until then, this is me, Catweazle, signing off. Toodaloo.